Cześć, z tej strony Dominik i to jest fragment, który nagrywam po nagraniu podcastu, które właśnie przeprowadziliśmy. I na wstępie tego nagrania mówimy, że nie wiemy do końca, jak to wyjdzie, bo jest to pewien eksperyment, to co robiliśmy i że może się to okazać katastrofą kolejową i wydaje mi się, że się nie okazało i że będzie to jakaś frajda dla was, posłuchanie tego, co zrobiliśmy, ale wydarzyła się jedna rzecz nieprzewidziana, z mojej winy, absolutnie, całkowicie. Przez pierwsze 20 minut podcastu nagrywam się na złym mikrofonie. Nagrywam się na po prostu mikrofonie wewnętrznym laptopa. I w momencie, kiedy się zorientowałem, przerwaliśmy nagranie i od tego momentu już jestem na właściwym mikrofonie, więc trwa to tylko 20 minut i w trakcie tych 20 minut jest, no nie mówię cały czas, więc to jest kilka moich wypowiedzi. Przepraszam was za to, za ich jakość i no mówię. Po 20 minutach jest już dobrze i mam nadzieję, że reszta wam to wynagrodzi. I teraz przedstawiam to, co nagraliśmy. Zapraszam.
Cześć, z tej strony Dominik Gąska i jest tu ze mną Iga Ewa Smoleńska.
Dzień dobry.
Mamy dzisiaj specjalnego gościa, o tym za chwilkę. Na początek mała informacja i przeprosiny dla was, ponieważ dzisiejszy odcinek zostanie nagrany w języku angielskim, gdyż nasz gość nie posługuje się językiem polskim. Taki wymyśliliśmy sobie event specjalny. Wiemy, że dla wielu z was, którzy nie posługują się językiem angielskim, może być to problematyczne w odbiorze dzisiejszego odcinka i w związku z tym przepraszamy was najmocniej. To nie jest jakaś zmiana na stałe, za tydzień wrócimy w normalnym składzie, z normalnym podcastem, ale no mieliśmy okazję nagrać z bardzo wyjątkowym gościem w bardzo wyjątkowej roli, o czym za chwilę. I tak, no postanowiliśmy skorzystać z tej okazji. Mamy nadzieję, że się nie obrazicie na nas.
Jeżeli się na nas obraziliście, to możecie teraz wyłączyć i wrócić za tydzień, aczkolwiek mamy nadzieję, że zostaniecie z nami do samego końca. So, our very special guest today is Joshua Eric Sawyer. You can say hello, Josh.
Hello.
Do you want an introduction or do you want to introduce yourself?
I can introduce myself, I guess. I am the studio design director at Obsidian Entertainment. I've been here since 2005. Before that, I was at Black Isle Studios, where I worked on Icewind Dale 1 and 2. Since I've been at Obsidian, I worked on Neverwinter Nights 2, and I directed Fallout New Vegas and Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, and I'm directing a new game that has not yet been announced.
Exciting.
Thanks.
Exciting news. Nice to have you here, Josh.
Thank you.
As most of our listeners know, our third host, Tomek Pstrągowski, is off today. He needed some rest, and he asked us to record a podcast without him. And because of that,
And this is what we came up with. So
yeah,
Nice.
it's on us, I guess. And also, I wanted to say that you probably may remember that Josh was already a guest on our podcast with an amazing interview that Iga conducted with him, and it was really great. So we thought both that since Joshua, intentionally or not, I don't know, became sort of a friend of the podcast, or one of the friends of the podcast, and I thought, along with Iga, that it would be kind of interesting to have Joshua as a normal guest, not as an interviewee, but as someone who will just engage with us in conversations about current topics and video games we are playing. And we'll see how it goes. I hope it will turn out to be a good idea.
Nice.
or a train wreck. We'll see.
or a trainer. Yeah, if it turns out to be a train wreck, I hope it will at least be an interesting
I just came here to
train.
sow chaos, mess everything up.
So, as we said, this is going to be kind of a normal episode where we talk about news and we talk about what we're playing and watching and reading and everything the likes. We prepared some topics for today's discussions, and we rarely have time to discuss them all, Josh. So, you know, if we skip one, it's okay. Cool. I think people are used to it by now. So today on the agenda we have Xbox Series S that outsold PS5 in Japan for the very first time.
Nice.
We have a new announcement from the game studio called Spiders, which is the best name that I can think of.
Before the recording, Iga said that she would love to be a boss of spiders.
The director of
Nice.
spiders. Yes.
Director of spiders. Sorry.
So, as we all know, they're working on a new game, and right now they just announced that the Greedfall 2 is going to happen. We are also going to discuss if the Stranding 2 is currently in development, because it seems so, and I think we can safely assume it can be. So yeah, but first of all, I would like to ask our guest, Josh.
Yep.
What's up? What were you playing? What were you watching?
Well, I was playing Elden Ring, and then the Cyberpunk 1.5 patch came out, and so I've been playing Cyberpunk, and I'm probably going to finish that before I go back to Elden Ring. Also, just to be honest, like Souls games and Elden Ring, whenever they get into like the big dungeon spaces, I have less fun in there than in the open world stuff, because even though I know that dying and recovering souls and losing souls is like a part of the core loop, I don't like it.
You look like From Software level design.
I know.
I agree. I actually agree. This is like a point of contention between me and Iga about Elden Ring, because she, as a big fan of Souls games, actually believes that those tight spaces, those tight designed dungeons are the best part of Elden Ring. And for me, the exploration of the open world was certainly, because I was never a fan of those games, so I feel like very stressed in the dungeons, and I feel like the game is pressuring me too much. And in the open world, the freedom that the open world gives, and in its design and in all the encounters, even though the game is still hard, it's much more enjoyable for me. So high five, Josh.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying I don't like it.
Yeah,
like it is
obviously
clearly well and consistently designed in the way that, like, yes, that's From Software's dungeon design, and it's very well done for what they want to do, and I don't like experiencing it. So I stopped and played Cyberpunk, and the 1.5 patch made it much better.
So it's fixed.
Yeah, I would say it's fixed. I mean, the one thing that I don't like about it, which I've said many times, is I do not like the progression or the itemization, especially the itemization I don't like. But in terms of the actual core gameplay and how all that stuff works, it works very well. I've encountered very few bugs. The bugs that I've encountered are more like the funny, like physics bugs, and it doesn't matter. Like, they're totally fine. So yeah, it's really pretty solid from my perspective anyway. And then the only other game I've been playing recently has been the Card Shark demo.
What's that? Tell us
Card
about
Shark is a small game made by I think it's a British company, but I think there's a lot of French devs in it, and it's set in the middle of 18th century France, and you are basically a kind of an apprentice cheat at cards, and you are working with the Comte de Saint-Germain, who is teaching you how to cheat at cards, and you travel around France and you swindle people in like 3-card Monte and card games. And it's not actually a game about playing cards, it's a game about cheating at cards. And all the card cheating things are mini games, and which might turn some people off, but I think it's really well done, and the art style is really good, the music is really good, it seems like it has a very interesting story. So I thought it was really great.
Do you mechanically need to cheat, or can you like just honestly win if you're good at the game?
The game is cheating. There is no actual playing of cards. All the mechanics are about cheating.
And by cards, you mean like a traditional cards, so like, I don't know, poker and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Not like a collectible card game.
No. So yeah, you're playing traditional like parlor card games, and so for example, in some scenarios you're playing the servant of the Comte, and you'll be pouring wine, and when you pour wine, you can see the cards of his opponent, and then you need to, when you wipe the table, the direction that you wipe the table in, so either like clockwise, counterclockwise, up or down, and the number of times indicates the suit and the number of cards that they have. And that's like the mechanic for that. There's mechanics for like stacking the deck and cutting and like doing all sorts of stuff like that. So they're all like little mechanics, but they all feel very well integrated and interesting. I thought it was really great. It's coming out on June 2nd. I think it's PC and Switch. Maybe there are other platforms, but anyway, I thought it was great. Can't wait.
Tell me.
And the June 2nd release, is it a full release or
The full
some
release.
early access?
Yeah, because there's a free demo on Steam, which I encourage people to check out. But yeah.
Tell me about Cyberpunk. Are you replaying it from the beginning, or are you just like?
I
jumping in?
stopped my playthrough maybe like 8 or 10 hours in, because like I got a decent way in, and I was encountering bugs, and I was just like, I don't like the progression, and the combat felt really weird, and so I was just like, I'm gonna stop, because I like it was kind of messy, and I was like, I can tell there's like good stuff under here, but I'm just gonna wait.
I actually, from the changes that are made in 1.5, I won't particularly agree that the bugs have been fixed. Like, there were a lot of bugs, and there are still a lot of bugs. I have this like sort of a ritual whenever a new patch for Cyberpunk comes out. I run the game and play it for an hour or so, and every time I do it, after every patch, in that hour, something happens that makes me go, okay, it's still there. It's still Cyberpunk. It's still buggy as hell. But what they actually did, and what I think is the true achievement of this patch, is the new AI for combat.
It's a lot better,
it drastically changes. It's a lot better. Like, the combat is much more fun.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. I do think that the combat has improved overall. Like I said, progression and itemization are still part of that, but in terms of the actual enemy behavior, much better than it was at launch, certainly.
It is actually fun to go into firefights. I was really not a fan of all those gigs, those simple missions, because most of them boil down to just going into a location and shooting guys there.
Or hacking
because shooting
the cameras.
Because shooting was so bad, and now I actually found myself doing those missions a lot because of how the shooting mechanics have improved.
Yeah,
or maybe not the shooting mechanics, but the AI.
Yeah, I do think that I agree, and I think that the only content that I've felt so far is just too thin, given the sort of narrative wrapper that's around it, are the NCPD scanner missions. I think that those missions should not be like part of NCPD. Like, essentially doing missions for NCPD feels really weird in Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be on the map, and you shouldn't get the money reward from like their bounties. Like, they should just be stuff that you find, because you get loot. You get a ton of loot out of every one of them, and there's no narrative. The narrative on each one is so thin because it's always just a log. Like, you get to whatever the objective is, you open the thing, and there's a log, and you read it, and that's it. There's no connective tissue to any other quest, and there's no connective tissue to anything else narratively. And they're everywhere. Like, because you can go on the map and turn them on, and there's like 100 of them, maybe. And so I just for, I don't know, compulsion, I decided I'm going to do every single one of these.
Why?
And just to check them out. I'm checking out all the content. I'm doing like every single bit of content. So I did all of those. I did all the side jobs, all the gigs. I'm buying all the vehicles. I actually ran out of money buying all the vehicles because they're big money sinks. But yeah, I had accumulated like 800 and some thousand just from not selling things, just from picking stuff up. And then I went and bought a bunch of vehicles, and I ran out of money. But yeah, the NCPD stuff is stuff that feels like if you were playing any other open world game, it would just be stuff that you find. Like, hey, it's some fucking guys and they're being bad. Kill them, take their stuff, and go, awesome, and then you keep going on. But the NCPD wrapper around them feels like narratively weird and gross, and the content isn't, there's not enough to it to like make it that satisfying. Whereas all the gigs and all the side jobs, I thought all of those at least had like fine to very good like narrative content to them as well. Even if they were essentially fairly simple, they still had like enough dialogue and kind of meat to them that they were interesting. So
you actually make a really good point about those NCPD missions, in that I of course agree, and everyone told that after the game launched, that the whole thing, working with the police, like, makes no sense narrative wise. Yep. But also, if you could just remove all the icons for those missions and just make the player find them on themselves, that would change a lot. Because if there is something seriously lacking in Cyberpunk, it is the sense of discovering something in the world. going somewhere and seeing something happen. And because everything is a mission, is a contract, is an icon on a map, you don't have any of that.
Well,
and I think that would maybe solve it.
Even if you just go somewhere, you usually your phone vibrates and tells you to go inside to check something out.
And I forgot about other thing that they did with 1.5, which I think is also a great change. The way that they changed the progression with the gigs, so that you don't get all the gigs at once, but in sort of batches.
Yeah, I think that helps.
It's a small change.
Yeah.
Did they remove
it's a small change. It's a small change that doesn't actually change anything in the content, but the way that it is presented now is much more enjoyable. So they could do something similar with the NCT contracts, and just by removing the icons and just by removing the police call, informing you about the robbery taking place. And you hear from the police about the robbery taking place, and you ignore it, and you go off doing your thing for 3 days, and then after 3 days you come back and the robbery is still going on there. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
So okay, there was this huge major milestone for the current gen console wars that in Japan that you may think is bigger. I thought when I read the headline that Xbox Series X outsells PS5 in Japan for the first time, I thought to myself, everyone now everyone in Japan owns an Xbox Series S, which isn't true. Those are the sales figures for 1 week, from May 9th to May 15th. And this is a historical moment because the last time that happened was in the Xbox 360 era. So
Here's what I found on Xbox 360's Wikipedia page.
Sorry, my Alexa got alerted. Alexa, be quiet, stop. So yeah, quoting Alex Aniel, I think this is how you read the surname. During the week of May 9th to May 15th, Xbox Series S sold 6,120 units, doubling what the PS5, both digital and disc edition, sold, which was just below 3,000 units. And this is the first week that the current gen consoles from Microsoft outsold the Sony ones.
Nice.
But the Xbox Series X actually just sold 105 units, and this 105 units, and this may be because the Japanese people actually think that the Xbox Series S is kind of cute because it's small and it's like colorful, and the thing is, like, this may not be exciting news, but as you both know and our listeners also know, I just ordered a PS5.
And this is
the big news.
Yeah, I checked your Twitter and
it exploded.
I opened some champagne as soon as I read it.
Also, this is just breaking news. Like right before we started recording, I got an email telling me that it's going to arrive tomorrow.
Nice.
So I'm pretty excited. Thank you. This is what I wanted to share, choosing this news. Now, the thing is, I wanted to ask you, because right now I will be the owner of all of the current consoles, and I know that Josh, you don't have a current gen. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay.
Does the Switch count as current gen?
I think it does.
Okay, then I do.
I also okay.
But I haven't played in like a year. But yeah, I have a Switch. But yeah, I don't have. What's that?
You mostly play on PC then?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yep.
Are you willing to buy yourself a next, not even a next gen, like the current gen console, or are you just going to skip this generation?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can get at least a discounted Xbox, because I work for a Microsoft-owned company. But yeah, it's just I mostly play PC stuff at home. And there's so many PC games that I've been playing that I haven't really been like, oh man, I really need to get a console. And even Game Pass, I have Game Pass on PC, so so I can use that as well. But there are games on console that I would like to check out, so I might. But again, it's not really been a pressing thing because there have been so many other games on PC that I've been wanting to play.
Okay. So Dominic, what about you? You're trying.
What about me?
You're going to buy a Switch or like a new Sony or Microsoft console anytime soon?
I don't think I'm going to buy a Switch. I always pictured myself like Switch always seemed to me like something that it would be great to have, but when I think about it reasonably, I don't think there are that many games that I'm interested on the Switch.
There's
Like-
a lot of good games on the Switch.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of really good games, but I don't think there are that many good games for me. Like there are a lot of indie stuff and lots of indie stuff that I can find on PC or Xbox, so I got that covered. I am not big on gaming on the go, like it doesn't do anything for me, and I'm not big on laying on the couch. Like I live alone, so
You can actually
TV
dock it.
TV usage is not the problem for me. Yes, but then why would I buy a Switch to just use it as, I don't know, a home console? It just, I don't know.
To play Nintendo games.
Like, which one of them?
The
Like
Zelda remake
Zelda-
you were
Yeah,
like
I
telling
already
us
played.
about.
I already played Breath of the Wild on Wii U, because I
You
actually
did.
have a Wii U, and for some reason I love that game, but for some reason I didn't get to finish it. I don't know why. So I don't think I'll be getting a Switch. I think I'll be getting either a PS5 or Xbox, and this may come up as sort of a plot twist because I am a huge Xbox fan since the Xbox 360 era, and I was actually the person who had Xbox One throughout the whole last generation. I never
You
bought
did.
a PS4, and I played all of the third-party games on Xbox One, and it was really bad. Like certainly towards the end of the generation, because I didn't have Xbox One X. I have Xbox One X currently, which Iga, I have it borrowed from Iga. So thank you very much again, Iga. I'm super grateful because playing current gen games or last gen games on Xbox One, like on at this tail end of the generation, like you get resolutions like 840p and frame rates well below 30 FPS, and you just have to live with that. Like no one really cares, I think, currently about optimizing game for the base Xbox One. But now, when I think about the next generation, I think One X
Current. It's just current right now.
Current. Yeah, sure. Xbox One X. It's been really weird thinking about, because this generation has been on for over a year now, but there have been so few like really next gen games, like games that only work on Series X, S, and on PS5. Like there's only a handful of them, that it's really hard to think about it being current gen. For me, it is still something that is on the horizon. Like I'm still waiting for all those games, and then I will refer it to it as a current gen. It's still, for me, like the consoles are here, but without the games, like it's still
who
more of a
cares?
promise. It's more of a promise. So, thinking about my next gen console, I actually started thinking recently that maybe I will actually get a PS5, mostly because that Xbox One X has me covered as far as indie games go, and as far as first-party Microsoft stuff. I've actually been really interested in the xCloud thing, and I've been checking it out pretty regularly to see how well it performs, because it wasn't that good, at least from my experience, from where I live, at first. And I am, as Iga know, and as some of our listeners know, I am actually a big fan of Stadia, not the platform, because the platform is
The
awful,
single
obviously.
fan. If Josh,
Yes.
if you ever wonder who plays Stadia, who is this guy? Like this is the guy.
I'm actually playing Cyberpunk on Stadia, and I think the technology, like I have no idea why Google can have such a big company, can have such great technology, because technologically Stadia is amazing. Like it's unbelievable how well it performs, and have no idea how to sell it or how to market it. Like it boggles my mind. But I was always thinking that how great it would be if Microsoft with Game Pass had a technology that performs as well as Stadia, And now I think they are almost, but maybe not there yet, but almost there. And I think it's still in beta. I think that's why they're calling it beta. And when it comes out of beta, and if they are, 100% certain that it works well, I don't really see a reason for me to be getting an Xbox Series X, because if I can play all of the Microsoft first-party stuff on Game Pass through xCloud on my Xbox One X, and that xCloud works well on my internet connection, then I don't really see a point of having an Xbox Series X. And I actually think that this is something that Microsoft is aiming for. This is something that this is their goal with Game Pass. They want to disconnect themselves from the hardware. They want to reach as many people as possible with the service, and just drop the console. And because of that, I think that I would like to have an Xbox Series X, but when the time comes that I will finally be making the decision, it may very well be a PS5 for me, for that reason.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm not like a Microsoft spokesperson or anything, but generally speaking, I think that all the hardware development and distribution for both Sony and Microsoft is, if not a money loser, it doesn't really make that much money. There's a lot more in the licensing.
I think Microsoft actually said that they are not making money on selling consoles.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's not what demand is at.
I know at various points it's actually been a loss, but the whole point is that you get people to subscribe to the services, and you get people to pay licensing fees to actually be on the platform. So the hardware...
They actually have it on record, and they actually have it as a sworn testimony for the Epic
oh, that's right.
Apple trial.
Yeah.
There was a person from Microsoft who said on record that they have never made money selling Xbox consoles. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, so ultimately it is a means to an end, which is trying to get people to actually play the games that are on the platform. So if the platform as hardware doesn't need to be there, it would make sense that, I mean, Game Pass has been very, very successful for Microsoft. So if people want to play that and they want to play xCloud, then they're winning.
I'm just going to say that having an Xbox Series X is awesome. Also, I will get back to you on having a PS5, but I still need to think about where I'm going to put it in my house, because it will take up
do you have enough room?
Full room. Yeah, maybe I will change apartments. I'm not sure yet. It's going to arrive tomorrow.
I do like that we I'm old enough to remember the Xbox is huge jokes, because the original Xbox was so big and the controllers were enormous, and now
the American controls were enormous, because I have
true.
the classic Xbox, even in a limited series, is you can see
the S controller.
Yeah, and I actually ordered the controller from Japan, and it was doable. But
no, the S controller was actually
the American
pretty nice.
controls,
the American controller
oh my
was
god,
huge. It was humongous. But now the tables have turned, and now PS5 is huge.
It is, but it's like every time I go into someone's apartment and I see a PS5, I'm actually shocked of how big it is.
Yes.
Because if you don't see it each day, you know it's big, but you forget how big it is. So yeah, I'm going to need to refurnish my living room, and I'm going to stack it somewhere behind my TV, so I don't know if I actually have it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Demon's Souls Remastered. And then I can tell you if owning a PS5 is okay. The thing is, when I read about Xbox Series S outselling PS5, it may be because PS5s are still not very common to find on the market. They still come usually in waves, and people just wait for them for the ability to buy them. And I know that in the US it was the same with Wii. I remember there was a huge Wii shortage for a year and a half or something like that. Do you remember that, Josh?
I don't know. I'm always late to buying hardware. I'm never I gotta have the hardware first day. So whenever there are shortages or weird things, I don't pay any attention because I don't care.
Okay.
So it's possible.
Do you have a Steam Deck?
What's that?
Ordered? Do you have a Steam Deck ordered?
No.
You're not interested in Steam Deck?
No.
You can play PC games not sitting at your PC. Just imagine that.
Hey, do you know where I want to play PC games? Sitting at my PC.
Maybe.
It's like the Switch thing. Like Dominic had said, like mobile gaming is not interesting to me. Like I'm not going to play it while riding my bicycle. I'm not going to play it while driving my car.
Why? This sounds like a great idea.
But
you should
I got
try it.
I got a Switch for Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild and like a couple of other things that were just on Switch. But I mostly used it either with Animal Crossing undocked or with every other game docked. And so and the Steam Deck that thing is huge. Like
not as huge as the PS5, dude.
I know. Well, thankfully, I mean, who could carry it around? But it's big, and I don't know. It's just I don't care. I'm like when people sort of say like, oh, can you imagine like playing Counter-Strike on the bus? I'm like, no, I mean, sure, I guess, but I don't want to do that. I don't care. Like, could you imagine going up onto the top of El Capitan in Yosemite and playing Cyberpunk? Yeah, I guess. Like, why would I want to do that? That's not a thing that is in any way interesting to me. So, yeah, I know a lot of people are super stoked for Steam Deck, and that's great for them, but I just don't care.
I know that they are still pushing the units like farther up a year if you ordered it.
Yeah.
That you get pushed in line. Like, I don't know why, because they seem to have like it all figured out, but maybe the interest in it was like way through the roof for them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know a lot of people are super excited for it. I don't get it, but it's just not my thing.
Are you excited for
Sorry,
my
segue?
My segue. You destroyed my segue.
Hold on to that segue.
Of course.
There's something that news piece that also caught my attention when it comes to PS5 and Xbox. The news piece also mentions the digital edition of PS5, and I actually even forgot that existed. Like only while reading through the news piece, I was reminded that there is a thing like the driveless PS5.
Yes, the digital editions are actually you can buy those. They are like mostly available, and the thing is, I don't know if it's like worldwide or anything, but the stores have the idea that people will want to buy a PS5, but the disc version, the original PS5, and they started to make bundles. Once they have like a new wave of PS5 coming
They bundle normal PS5 with a digital PS5.
No, that would be amazing, but no. They used to bundle it with games, like 4 or 5 games, and like accessories and pads. So you need to like buy this huge package, and I wanted just the PS5, maybe with another controller, and I was able to get that. But the discless version is available. Like, you can just walk into a store and usually they have like a couple of those. People don't want to buy them because people still want to be able to own games on discs, even though they're like super expensive right now on PS5. So yeah. I don't know why. So yeah, my segue was, and it will work great right now, so just bear with me. So, are you excited for Greedfall 2, Josh?
Sure. It's been announced? Has there been a trailer? I haven't seen it.
They just said, like, Dominic, can you take the topic, because I know you are a huge Greedfall 2 one.
I am not a huge Greedfall fan.
Number one Greedfall fan in Poland.
Yes, and also the only guy that plays Stadia.
I actually haven't finished Greedfall, but I'll in a minute about that. It has been announced, and I have just realized, and it goes to show how we as podcast hosts, as one of the most popular, if not the most popular Polish video gaming podcast, are always super professional. I have only just realized, after you, Josh, asking me if there is a trailer, that there in fact is a trailer, and I haven't seen it.
Nice.
Josh, have you seen it?
No. Yeah, I asked about it, but I didn't know if it existed.
But we are professionals, and we don't have to watch anything or read anything to give our honest and professional opinions. we are just so professional that we don't really need it. Yeah, so the game has been announced, and the game is coming out in 2024. At least that's the current plan. And the game takes place 3 years before the events shown in Greedfall 1, so it is a prequel. And I wanted to share with you my story with Greedfall because I really liked that game. I started playing it when it came out on Game Pass because that was one. There are certain kinds of games that when you hear about them, you sort of expect them to come to Game Pass at some point. It was like this with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like as soon as Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I was 100% certain that it will come out on Game Pass at some point. So I was kind of interested in that game, but I decided not to buy it before I was sure it would come to Game Pass, and it did. And it was the same with Greedfall for me. So when it did come out on Game Pass, I started playing it, and I liked it for a while because it reminded me of sort of a stripped down version of Dragon Age Inquisition. I think there are a lot of similarities.
It's kind of BioWare-ish, yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities in the design, and I actually think that as bloated as Dragon Age Inquisition was, there were some good things there, but the game was also super bloated. So having like something similar but a little more compact, and that's what Greedfall was. It was really cool, and I really liked the combat system. I really liked the setting. I really liked the colonial stuff. It was all really cool, and I played it. I think I made it around halfway through, and then I came to the moment that my crew and my party came to this like Middle Eastern city, and there was this scene of this religious fanatics basically massacre, wailing on some innocent indigenous person from the island, awful stuff, like kicking him, like basically murdering him on the street, and demanding that he turns to their religion, that he accepts their god or something. I don't remember. And it's like I was so angry. Not like okay, I understand, like I understand what they're saying, and I was never a person to criticize a work of art or of pop culture even for its contents. Like there are a lot of people who get angry or criticize movies because they don't like what happens in them. I was never that person. Like if there is a story to tell, and if I understand where the authors of that story are coming from, it's all fine. But for some reason, that moment, I was so angry because after it happened, I was dead set on, okay, give me that guy who did it, give me the option, the dialogue option that ends with attack in brackets, and I will just select that option and just kill the fucking guy, because I thought that what he did was fucking awful, and I really, it really annoyed me for some reason, I don't know.
Can't see any reason there.
And not only the game didn't give me the option to do that, it actually made me work with them. It made me like I not only didn't have an option to attack them, I was basically forced to get into an alliance with those religious fanatics and to sort of continue my quest working with them. And I don't know if at some point I can, sort of turn against them or something like that. But because of that encounter and because of how this faction is introduced, and because the game gave me, I didn't have any option to at least voice my concern with what happened on the screen, I actually got really angry and stopped playing it there and then, and I didn't finish it.
You just dropped the pad.
Yeah, I just throw it on the screen in anger. No, but yeah.
I did once. I did do that once to a game. I was so angry. So yeah. Anyway, Greedfall 2, The Dying World, actually reverses the setting, because you're not the colonialist now. You are rooted, how do you say, uprooted native, taken from their homeland to the mainland,
so
let's say.
Maybe that is the game for me, and I will get to
this was just no, it's not even foreshadowing, because this is 3 years prior.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works. Maybe it would work in Assassin's Creed though. So yeah, they're promising a new setting, new protagonist, and are aiming for more tactical combat. And I remember combat in this game being super basic. These are the words I would describe it with. Did you play it, Josh? Did you play Greedfall?
No, I watched Audrey play a lot of Greedfall though, and Audrey is my girlfriend, and she is the ultimate gamer, and she played a lot of Greedfall. And yeah, obviously it's unfair for me to say this without experiencing it myself, but it did not look like it was super deep. Now the thing is, some people don't want super deep tactical combat. That's fine. But yeah, if they are trying to add more, there's certainly room to grow in terms of tactics.
Yes.
From what I saw in the game. And yeah, it did seem, again, this is a limited perspective of me watching someone else play the game, but it did seem like they were, broadly speaking, quote unquote, dealing with colonial themes, but then there were points of frustration where it's like, okay, so we have this religious order that is super aggro all the time, and you can't really just act against them openly. Which
because
that
it's political, Josh. Because this game is very political.
Sure, but like in Deadfire, that was like a big issue for us to make it all about me. Working on Deadfire, we were dealing with colonial stuff, and there are issues of like indentured servitude, and obviously displacing native culture, and sort of passing moral judgment on their cultural values and how they choose to run things. And it came up a lot where, we had to make sure that the player was always able to say, like, I don't agree with that. Like, I'm not working with you. You're a piece of shit. At one point there is a faction that is dealing with slavers, and they kind of say, like, yeah, it's distasteful, but what are you going to do? And you can say, like, you can do this, die. And, like, basically, you just fucking kill everybody. And that's because
amazing
we knew that,
dialogue.
Yeah, we knew that players, they're going to see that and say, like, fuck this. Like, I'm not going to support that. I'm going to oppose that immediately. Or you can actually agree and say, all right, I'll go there. And then you go to the slaver island and you can just wipe out every single slaver and then come back and say, like, yeah, I handled the slavers. And the guy's like, oh my God, what did you do? I'm like, I killed slavers because slavery is bad. Sorry if this is news to you, but it's not good. So yeah, like if they want to like deal with that in more depth and have more, add more stuff to that. Like, because the thing is, it seemed, when I saw it, I was impressed by the fact that it got made at all, because my understanding was that Spiders was not particularly big as a studio, and the scope of the game seemed
Spiders are usually very small.
I understand that, but what if there were 1 million spiders and they were all at keyboards
This is
making
how
games?
I'm imagining they're making games, actually.
But given the scope, given basically what I understood to be the size of the team and the scope of the game, I was like, this is impressive that it shipped. But yeah, I was like, okay, there seems to be like a lot of room to grow.
It's rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Like mostly it's rough. But
I'm in no place to judge. I've released a lot of games that are rough around the edges, so.
You still need to remember that they are actually right now working on Steel Rising, which is like how do you call that? The French Revolution.
Oh,
but with
yeah.
like those weird robots.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So my guess is Greedfall 2 is in pre-production right now. They're finishing up the Steel Rising game. It's aiming for, I don't remember, but it's like this autumn or something like that. It's this
really
year.
That soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then they will have like 2 years to finish the second Greedfall, and that seems rushed. Like, in my opinion, that seems rushed. Comparing it, like, I'm not comparing it, but if you played the first one, I'm not sure they can pull off a second like a sequel to that in just 2 years.
It is a fast turnaround. I guess it depends on how many people they have working on it for how long. But like, if you were to tell me they made the game and then they went into pre-production for 6 months and then had 2 years, I would still say that seems tight.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's like, given the fact that Greedfall, the first Greedfall was mostly dialogues from
Yeah,
what I
a
remember.
lot of dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah, and very basic combat. And other than that, you just spoke to people, and you had like so many options and branching narratives, and there was like stealth of some sort, and you usually had like 3 ways to end the quest and everything like that. But I'm guessing that making the second part of it will, if it's going to be better, but as big, it's not like a 2, even a 3-year game cycle here.
Yeah,
In my
two
professional
seems really rushed. Again, though, one other thing to say is, depending on how robust their tools are, maybe their tools can produce content very quickly. Even so, 2 seems fast if you want to polish it.
And are you waiting for the Steel Rising game?
I mean, like, I thought it looked interesting. Obviously, it's a very, well, at least it appears to be a very different type of game because it's a Souls-ish. My understanding is that it's a Souls-ish game. It's not like Greedfall. So if the approach is to make something where you're not engaging in dialogues, but it's more of a Souls approach, navigating a city, and like the aesthetics of it look interesting. Mechanically, maybe it'll be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't get hyped on a lot of games, so I'm usually sort of skeptical and cynical about everything that I see. I'm like, well, this is a way that this could go wrong. Let's see.
When the trailer was announced, I think it was like last year or something, the Steel Rising game, I was like super into it, and then I saw that it was like Spiders making it, still the best name, but I was like, these are like the Greedfall people, this is not going to have good combat. Like, I'm interested in the theme, I'm interested
Sure.
in what they are, the world seems like very interesting. I'm not sure this will play good. I hope it does.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. But I don't know, dude. What?
No, I just thought it'd be funny if you say, like, I hope it fails. I hope they die.
Yeah, I
Like, who's going to
hope
say
it
that?
burns
Yeah.
to the ground.
I hope they do well. No, I don't.
No, but like, there are some games I don't care about, like, at all.
Sure, fair
And
enough.
I've seen this, and I was like, this looks like the French Revolution. Oh, there are robots there. I'm really interested in seeing this because I would, like, I have this recurring dream when I like set fire to Paris, and I would like to see it in a video game. So I'm
Now's
out
your
for it.
chance.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, I hope it will be cool because it looks different, and I like different looking games.
Nice.
I'm not sure if they could pull off like a Souls-like though with the combat.
Well, we're gonna
in...
see. They did have
Can you
a gameplay trailer that came out a little while ago. You see
the
that?
Steel Rising one?
Yeah.
No, I only saw the announcement trailer.
Well, you better check it out, buddy.
Maybe. Also, spiders have like a lot of legs, so maybe they can like work twice as fast or something. Type.
Yeah, they can type
But
Code.
4 computers at once.
Iga, but do their games have legs?
We'll see.
Well, they're making more of them, so I guess Greedfall must have sold well enough to make more games.
It was kind of popular. I remember it being in the how do you call it? Like the PlayStation Plus
Okay.
first, and then it was on Xbox, like on the Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I actually bought a copy because I've only played a little, like when it was available on my PlayStation. Then I bought a copy for the Xbox, and I remember it. I was like, I really wanted a really dialogue-heavy game, but still wanted to have it more than the dialogues. And I was like, this is mostly dialogue still,
There was some combat.
right?
I am reading. Sorry, I'm reading. It was confirmed in November 2020 that Greedfall had sold over 1 million copies worldwide.
That's like very good.
By May 2022, the game had shipped 2 million copies.
That is more than I would expect it to sell. Actually.
I don't know what
that is-
shipping. I don't know what shipping copies means in the year of our Lord
Isn't that
2022.
like when the stores buy the games to resell, I think.
Yeah, but who buys
I
games
don't know
in
who.
stores anymore? Right? Like physical sales have been such a small part of.
I do actually.
Do
But now.
Well, hold on. Who outside of
I like-
Poland, the one remaining
What?
bastion, for real? Like with Pillars of Eternity, with Deadfire, I think we abandoned physical copies for like every territory except Poland.
Because you love us, Josh. This is
Yeah,
why.
well, because
not
Polish
because
people are the
we-
only people who buy physical copies of games anymore, I guess.
I like
real.
having the disc. I like not. I like during. I would say during a blackout, but that wouldn't make any sense. Like, for example, I have no internet connection.
During a blackout, on top of El Capitan, I have my Steam box. I'm playing Cyberpunk.
Can you connect like one of those external USB drives to your Steam Deck and then play the game off the disc?
You could.
you could
Make it
use
possible.
during a blackout for 2 hours.
All I'm
And one
envisioning now is Iga at the top of El Capitan in Yosemite. She has a Steam Deck. She has an external optical drive. It's running Greedfall 2. She's having the time of her life.
No, and I'm blacked out. That's the thing.
Blacked out. All power
yeah,
has
so-
been lost.
So we are actually waiting for Greedfall 2 then.
I guess
I
we are.
didn't know that the first one sold. So
It actually sounds respectable. Like 2 million.
it does.
Well, it's hard to know what I mean without the. Well, maybe I should read Wikipedia what the development costs were. No idea. I guess we can look at the list of developers and figure that out, or close to it.
Those are just spiders, dude.
But
Spiders.
we
This is
keep
just,
our
like,
operating
developed
costs
by
down by
spiders.
literally employing spiders.
And Janet hates spiders. Like
Actually-
she's not having a good time at the office.
I actually coming back to the Greedfall itself, the game. I actually really liked how they approached cities in that game because the cities were all really small. All of that game was pretty small, but they did a lot of clever tricks with the backgrounds, with the 3D background, so it was not like a simple skybox. And especially that Middle Eastern city, when we were approaching it, it looked really like much bigger than it actually were, and I think it worked like really well. I really liked it.
No, I think that there are a lot of things that were done very well in that game, especially presentation of their cities and environments. I thought were really well done.
Some of the choices were
Yeah.
not like quirky, smart, something like. They had options I wouldn't think about, so
Yeah.
that was cool.
But they didn't think about allowing the player to, oppose the religious fanatics.
No,
for
you
some
can't.
reason.
You can't do that in games. Like when you sign up for a game development job, this is the first rule of game development. You don't oppose religious fanatics. And Josh
We also
knows
had
what I'm
this-
talking about.
Yep.
He
Yeah,
just
we had
can't
this-
speak about it.
I can't
When
talk
we
about
were-
it. Iga just broke a
when
rule.
we were like a few years ago when we were talking about the second torment, Tides of Numenera, and I was discussing one of the encounters in that game with cultists, and we had this joke that there are like certain cannon fodder-ish enemies in RPGs, like bandits. Like you can always kill bandits. Like they're just you're walking down the path and they're just bandits there. Okay, like hello bandits. Like eat my sword now. And the same with cultists. Like
Yeah,
cultists are
the robed ones are just like RPG meat fodder.
Yep.
Like just
yeah,
throw
it is something
cultists
that
at them.
just happens. Yeah.
Yeah, the level looks empty. Just throw some cultists in. Okay, so Dominic, Dominic,
Iga.
what have you been up to? What have
Yeah.
you been playing?
Well, I have been playing a game called Dolmen, and before I start talking about the game, I would like to spend a few seconds talking about the name itself, because the name Dolmen is so super forgettable that I was actually playing the game for 3 evenings, and they were pretty long evenings, like 3-4 hours each, and after each session, after I stopped playing the game, I immediately forgot its name. I had to look up the name of the game to remind myself that
If
okay,
you would have
Dolmen.
it on disc, you could just place the box there and you would know.
Yeah,
This is why we
probably.
polls buy games on
Yeah,
disc. We
exactly.
have a
It is-
tragic memory for video
Yeah.
game names.
There's something inherently forgettable about the title. Like it seems like someone just used one of those, fantasy names generators that just,
Spit out words.
spit out words according to a certain algorithm. But anyway, the game is a Brazilian Souls-like, developed by a company called Massive Work Studio. It is sort of a young company. I read they were established in 2016, and it is actually their first console PC game. I think before that they did mobile games mostly, and I think some outsource work, if I understand their website correctly. And as a first game that they did, it would be, I don't know, passable, but as a product of interactive entertainment in 2022, 2 months after or 3 months after Elden Ring came out, like the game is really bad, like to put it simply, to be blunt. And it's not even that it's like offensively bad, because it at least works. But you know, Iga, when did Dark Souls 1 release? Like how many years since? Like
A lot.
I think it's
Is that
A lot.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
Dark Souls
so-
or Demon Souls?
Dark Souls, the first of the Dark Souls
Yeah.
series.
yeah. But even
2009.
Dark
Yeah.
Souls
No,
is
that's Demon.
2011.
No, that's Demon Souls.
2011.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Demon
we are,
Souls. Is
so it's over.
2009.
So it's over a decade since that
That is
game
true.
came out, and this here Dolmen game like brings nothing to the table. Like it's as a simple clone as you can imagine. So even the stats, of course, they are named like differently, but they basically do the same stuff. You have a health bar, a stamina bar.
Can you fat roll?
Yeah, I don't know. Like you have rolls. You have actually rolls are one of the things that are like at least pretty interesting in that game. Not in how they work, because they work identically to Souls, but at least the animation is fun, because you're simply like teleporting throughout the place, because it is sci-fi, so you can teleport. So it makes a little bit more sense than rolling around as you do in Souls. But for all that game has, it basically has everything that Dark Souls did 11 years ago, but all of that is done worse. So
Nice.
Amazing.
So the animations are worse, the level design is worse. You are basically like the core concept sounds interesting on paper, because the idea is that it is a sci-fi game, sci-fi setting married with sort of Lovecraftian themes. So the story goes that some greedy
It actually
corporation.
sounds interesting.
It sounds interesting until you
You play it.
until you play it and until you start getting into it like more deeply than the very surface level, because when you start playing it, it turns out that this is a very stereotypical story about a greedy corporation that was mining for a very important
And awakened the
valuable
eternal evil.
valuable
Yes.
mineral,
Hate it when
and they
that
have
happens.
awakened. Yeah. Yeah.
All the time.
And this is such a generic and such a used up story, but at the same time they try to do the Dark Souls thing, or like slowly spoon feeding you the information, so not being verbose with their storytelling, but having you find out like slowly what
Connect
happens.
the dots.
But what you are discovering is this super generic sci-fi story that has no surprises. Like you get nothing from it, and moreover, how it works in that game is that you don't actually get any item descriptions or any NPCs or anything like that. You just have certain places in the environments. It can be a computer monitor, it can be a dead body lying in a corridor, it can be like a certain item, and that item, when you like get close to it, gives you a prompt, and you press the prompt, and after pressing the prompt you get 2 sentences at the bottom of the screen, and this is all that the game does in terms of storytelling. That is all. Like,
Sweet.
And from those 2 lines of text, you get this story about greedy corporation mining and awakening the eternal evil from other dimension or something like that. And what else? Let me look
So
at my...
so you don't recommend it?
No, I don't recommend it at all. And there is one thing that I think they try to at least when they are talking about that game, they say that it is something that differentiates it from Dark Souls, and it is range combat done in sort of a third-person shooter way, so you can actually pull out a gun and, you know, aim freely and shoot stuff, but the aiming is awful and terrible, and it doesn't work at all, at least on a console.
So if it's like Dark Souls with guns, then it's more like Bloodborne.
But not really, because what you actually do, because aiming is so bad, you actually resort to just locking on the enemies and just pressing a button to shoot. So it basically works like shooting a bow in Dark Souls.
Okay.
And that's that. So,
and how are the bosses?
Yeah, okay, so, Iga, you like spiders. So let me tell you about
I love
enemies
spiders.
and bosses.
I actually done some research on spiders, and the number of employed spiders is 20
Let
plus.
me tell you about the enemy variety in Dolmen. So in the first main area, the first dungeon, as you will, most of the enemies that I encountered were spiders. And there were some like humanoid aliens, but mostly spiders, like smallish, like bigger than normal spiders, but like sort of up to your knees spiders. So, you know.
Okay.
And then there's a first mini-boss, and the first mini-boss is, imagine that, a large spider.
A bigger spider.
A bigger spider. And then after you defeat the bigger spider, you continue on the dungeon, and then you meet the final boss, which is, guess what? A really big spider. So yeah, you basically fight spiders, and I actually gone up to the first mini-boss of the second area, of the second act of the game, and it was sort of like a spider. And then I wrote, because I was actually reviewing the game, I wasn't playing it on my own will. Well, it was on my own will, but I got it for review. And then I wrote to the reviews editor at Polygamia, which gave me the review copy, and I asked him that, and I told him that I am basically in the midpoint of the game, and I got the game 2 days before the embargo date, so I asked him if he'd rather have me write the review now, with me having completed only half of the game, or I complete it in its entirety over the weekend, and I'll get the review done on Monday or Tuesday. And thank God he told me that I can, if I am certain about my opinion, I don't have to, torture myself playing it anymore. So I did my review there and then. And
what did you call it? Spiders? Oh my God, so many spiders.
Yeah, no, I actually called it something like a soul's clone without a shred of its own soul.
That's amazing.
I was pretty proud of that. It may not be as clear in Polish, but still I was pretty pleased with myself on the way. And gave it 2 out of 5. Not planning on revisiting it, and I don't recommend it. Sorry for the guys, and because if that's their first game, and I'm certain they are fantastic people who mean really well. But I didn't like the game at all.
Okay. Did you like Death Stranding?
I haven't played it.
You haven't played Death Stranding?
Just
Josh,
hard transition. No, Audrey played it though.
No? Okay.
And she says hi, by the way. Because she was just
Hello.
like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing a podcast with Iga and her friend.
That's nice.
So, but I watched her play like 80 hours of Death Stranding.
Did you finish it?
No.
Okay, because my relationship with Death Stranding is I've started the game about 5 times, I think, and I always got to the 3rd hour, and then I was done, and I was like, I'm going to head back in tomorrow, but today I'm going to sleep, and I've never picked it up again after the 3rd hour. So I know the beginning very much, and I like the beginning very much. I'm not sure if I want to continue playing, but the thing is, the idea of it is so interesting to me, and it seems like a game I could relax to. Like, you just go, you just walk for miles. It seems amazing, and then you can also fall in the face. So that's fun, I guess. But then you have all of those cinematics because, of course, Hideo Kojima is going to make long movies in his game. And I am really looking forward to playing it once again. I am not going to start from the beginning because I know that I'm going to get to the third hour and I'm going to be like, okay, that's enough for me. But it says here on the internet, on the news website, that Death Stranding 2 is currently in development, and so says the actor Norman Reedus, who played the role of the amazingly named person called Sam Bridges.
Excuse me, that's not his full name.
Okay.
Sam Porter Bridges, thank you.
Yes,
You'll
Sam
hear
Porter
that.
Bridges.
You'll hear Sam Porter Bridges repeated 100,000 times throughout the game.
It's still an amazing name. Like, Hideo Kojima is a genius. He tells he had like an interview with Leo Edit, and they asked him about his role during Death Stranding, and he was like, and this is actually the quote: "We had just started the second one." What does that mean? Nobody actually knows, but Kojima seems to be hinting that there is something in production, as he tweeted, "Go to your private room, comma, my friend," with like a thumbs up emoji and the emoji with hearts, for eyes, and some pictures of them together.
He wasn't mean to, but because it kind of sounds like he's mean to him. Like, go to your room. Shut up.
Because the private room is the place when Sam Porter Bridges can recover after the mission. I'm not a very huge I know Kojima has this following, and I respect him for what he does. I'm not a huge fan of his work, is all. I really wanted to love Death Stranding because when the idea of a guy just walking for miles like really sits with me. And what are your thoughts on the second one? Because I think Death Stranding sold like as crazy. I remember all of those people waiting for it for years and years, and then it came out. I don't remember if it was like super critically acclaimed, but it was. I think it was like people agreed that this is a different game and this is a game by Hideo Kojima. So
we can certainly agree on those two things. I think mechanically, it's one of those things where like it is mechanically really bizarre, and that's not necessarily bad because it's doing a bunch of unique things, and I feel like I remember seeing it and thinking, wow, I guess if you have like $100 million, you can kind of just make a guy walking around look really nice. And he
was also peeing, peeing,
and like you can lean really heavily into that stuff and get it feeling really good. And yeah, like I do think that there was actually interesting and compelling gameplay in it. And yeah, the world building was certainly like, very unique sci-fi stuff that was developed for it. And again, if you like the way that Kojima does storytelling and cinematics, then yeah, why wouldn't you like Death Stranding then? Casting Lindsay Wagner, but young Lindsay Wagner from when Kojima probably had a crush on her when she was like in shows in the, I think it was like 70s and 80s. So like, sure, why not? If you like that stuff, then great. I'm sure there'll be more of it. And you'll love it too.
But when you saw Audrey play, didn't you find it like super relaxing to just watching him go from place to place and like deliver pizzas and like?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought that was all really well done. It's interesting because it looks and there's reasons for this in the game where they explain like, because they're like, we got to travel across the United States. And I'm like, this is Iceland. Like, what are you talking about? This is like, it's like the wilderness of Iceland. There's not a single place in the United States that looks anything like this. But they're like, well, but you see all these things happen. And I'm like, okay, sure. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. But yeah, it is very relaxing. And like I said, like it was interesting because over time, seeing all the things of like building up zip lines and all that stuff was like, I thought was really interesting and cool. Even in the combat, I thought there was interesting stuff that was going on. it's been a long time since I've watched the gameplay of it, but like locating the invisible, I can't remember what those guys are called, but like there is a lot of neat stuff in the game.
The guys who walk on hands and are invisible, but then they are not because you have like the Odradek.
Yeah, there's like ways
like,
to spot
clap,
them, and
clap,
like
clap, clap.
and the like the blood bullets that you fire, and like there's just like neat stuff in it. So like I think it's interesting. Again, it's one of those things where I was totally fine watching it. I don't know how thrilled I would be to like play it.
Yeah, I think that may be it. Like, if I can find someone who would just play it and I could just sit back and watch it and tell them, like, do this, and they would do that, and I would just stand there and watch, that would be better for me, actually, I think. Maybe then I would get past the 3rd hour mark, just continue on and see what is the story of Sam Porter Bridges.
Yeah.
So you're not waiting for the second one, then, either of you. Maybe this is the first Death Stranding game you're going to play. Oh.
Sure, maybe.
No, not really.
I guess we'll see. Like, well, I guess it depends on when it comes out and all that other stuff, and I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's not. Kojima games are games that I like to read about and watch videos about and watch other people play. But generally speaking, I don't find the mechanics like super engaging. I've heard that MGS5 is actually pretty solid. But I just haven't gotten around to playing it.
Nice.
What's up?
That MGS5 is pretty solid. Really?
Oh, that was actually not an intentional thing. But yeah, no, I've heard it's actually very good as a game. But I have not yet played it.
It is actually much. I think it is the best game, at least
ever.
Modern Kojima. No, the best Kojima game.
That's the impression I got. Yeah.
Yeah, at least mechanically, but at the same time, it's the least Kojima game of Kojima games, if that makes sense. Because
I'm not going to complain.
It's really toned down on the weirdness and on the cutscenes. It's much
Weird
more
is good though, and you can find a puppy in the game, and you can hook up a balloon to them, and the puppy flies away.
You can
That's
hook
my
up
favorite
balloons
part.
to everything and they fly away.
Yes, but there's a puppy, and that is an amazing. And also, when the puppy grows up, it becomes like a wolf, and the wolf carries like this. How do you call that?
Harness?
A vest?
Yeah.
No, a vest. It, like
Okay.
a bulletproof vest, and it attacks with a knife instead of its fangs. So I find this very authentic.
Can't you commit war crimes against children in Metal Gear Solid 5?
I don't know that. Can you, Dominic?
I think.
Did
there
you?
I recall
is-
seeing a video where
Yes,
Snake
I
is like
think there-
beating up kids.
Yeah.
Like
it's
they're
been a
like
while since-
war kids. They're like combat soldiers,
Yes,
like child soldiers.
And
And then he's like-
I played that game, but yeah, but there was a plot point like that. Yeah, like that's something that happens in the game.
That's
And
the
on topic
gameplay I'm
of-
looking for.
Of animals with melee weapons. We've actually that's a like let me digress for a second. We actually had a Magic the Gathering tournament in our offices like a few weeks ago. And we played the Kamigawa, the new expansion, and there is a dog card there, like many others, and there is a katana equipment as one of the cards, and I actually killed one of my friends using a dog with a katana.
Very
What's
good.
been
And
done
we-
in Dark Souls? Like Sif carries a sword in his mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, but still having like this is this stereotypically cute, white, fluffy dog, and wielding a katana as a weapon, and going on my friend's HP down to 0. It was pretty satisfying. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Was
don't
it
know
as
why, but yeah.
satisfying as committing war crimes against children?
Nothing
This-
is as satisfying.
This
as
is asking,
committing war crimes.
yeah, it's asking the serious questions here.
We're just kidding, like for serious people listening
I'm not.
to us. We are not advocating war crimes against children.
Okay, so which one of you is going to ask me what I was up to?
What are you up
Except
to?
for ordering the PS5 that is going to be here tomorrow. I need to record an unboxing video. I've been watching this thing because I've came back from this gaming conference and I wasn't I needed to binge watch something because I wasn't able to do anything else. So I found a series on Netflix, and the thing is, it's by the guy who made The Haunting of The Haunting of Hill House. I don't know if you guys watched it.
Yeah, I watched some of it.
Why? Because the thing is, I really liked the book when I read the book, and the guy like had this. The guy is actually called something. if you would believe me, I have like Mike Flanagan. Flanagan. What is this his name? Can you guys check if
Mike
I'm
Flanagan.
like, mistaken? Yeah, Flanagan. Yes. So I really liked his idea of the interpretation and like it's not the interpretation of the book, but the ideas he had from the book and then made it up for a totally not connected story of the series. And I found the first half of it very, very solid and a very good horror, like thriller story. But then, like, The Haunting of Hill House changed to people talking in a room. Like, there were a lot of dialogues. And I'm not saying those were bad dialogues, but there were, like, a ton of dialogues between a lot of people that were introduced to you in the first half of the series. And then I thought it had, like, a very nice put-together ending, so I liked the series. So I came back from the conference and I sat down like in front of the television, and Netflix tells me that this guy made another series. Like, I thought it was super brand new. Actually, it's from last year, and it's a limited TV series, so why not watch it? It only has like 7 or 8 episodes, about an hour each, so I can binge it. And this is called, let me breathe for a moment, The Midnight Mass. And this is about this guy that comes back to his hometown after he had an accident when he was drunk driving, and he killed a girl. So he got to prison for a couple of years, and we meet him as he comes back to his hometown, which is actually on this isolated island, and I had the name of the island, Crockett Island. So he comes back there, and things start to happen. Like, this is a very isolated community. There are like 100 and something people there. It wasn't like that when he was away, because first he left house for Chicago, I think, and then was his accident, and then he spent a couple of years in jail. So this community is really religious, and in a Catholic sense. It's not like some occultists that you can just go on and kill.
No robes.
As we agreed. Yeah. So, no, like really Catholic, really, like people of high belief, let's say. They like pray all the time, and also they talk all the time. You get to meet a lot of characters in the first few episodes, and they talk about the same thing but with other people, and they have like new ideas about everything, but the show is mostly about religion. When weird stuff starts happening, it's because of this new priest that came to town, and he has some new ideas on how to serve the community. And I'm not going to be very spoilery here, so I'm just going to, like, this is the synopsis. The thing is, this is a series based on tropes. There's nothing original about it. The only original thing about it is how it treats like the people that are representing the tropes. And other than that, really religious fanatism also. But it's like, it's a very cool story that they're trying to tell. And also it has this one amazing role. I'm not even going to tell you which one is it. If you see the first episode, you immediately know who that is, and she is like divine in that role. And I would like to recommend the series for you if you would like to.
But is it scary?
It does have a couple of horror like tropes in it. So it's supposed to be a little scary, but it's not as scary as Hill House was, and Hill House wasn't that much scary, yeah.
I haven't seen Hill House, but I've heard people talking about it, and I
You should
think
see
I
it.
know the. I don't think I want to, because I
It's
know what
good.
it is about, and I know the main plot twist. And hearing about it, I was like, okay, I respect that, but also it sounds
But the
like-
plot twist is like,
not at all like something that I would. No, I'm not saying that it's been ruined for me or anything like that. I'm just saying that
well, if you
having
if
heard
you,
about what it is,
Mhm.
what it is about, I came into the conclusion that it is not a story that I am interested in. Or
if
or
you
something
haven't
that-
seen Haunting of Hill House and you want to see Midnight Mass, then don't see Midnight Mass. See Haunting of Hill House. It's a better series.
Well, okay, so I won't watch it.
Okay, like, fair enough.
Thank you. Thank you for your recommendation.
No, but it's like the thing is, maybe I'm kind of biased because I miss the sea and I miss like visiting islands and stuff like that. But it has like those all great shots of like, you know, like island life, because most of the people there are fishermen. So I miss this, so maybe I was a little biased. But the story there is like, it's not the best story you've ever seen or anything like that, but it is compelling to see it for like 8 episodes. So but it's still 8 hours, dude.
And I
to
think it
complete
has
it.
those occult
It's
elements. Am I
about
right?
Catholics. Also, of course it has. It's a religious
And
like
that is-
organization, you know.
That is something that I really don't like in horror, and you know it. Like all
But it's,
those
I wouldn't
occult
even
stuff
tell
and
it
ghosts
like,
and vampires. Like you tell me that it turns out to be, you know, a scientific experiment run by an evil corporation, and then I buy it. Okay, it's fine. Like it's just nanobots or something. Okay, that is fine for me.
really,
But
nanobots are better
yes.
than ghosts.
Nanobots are much better. Like if you tell me it's just nanobots, okay, then I'm on board.
Watch Haunting of Hill House. It's a good series. But oh my god, the writer, like, they don't shut up. They just keep on talking, and the camera keeps on rotating, and then follows a guy who goes to another group, and they keep on talking about the same subject, but
Okay.
with different people. Like, they keep on talking.
So now I know why you like it so much. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah. So yes, this is all we've prepared. Josh, would you like to add something as a guest?
I was talking to you, like a week ago or something about watching this YouTube series by this Dutch guy. I want to say his name. I think it's like Martin Doolard, I think. And he's
I have it here, but
okay.
Martin Doolard, yeah, it has like a double O and a double A, so Dooalaard.
And it's Dutch
The surname?
Martin, so there's a J in there.
Yes.
But I think his first videos were about he was like a cycling tourist. He like did a lot of like long distance bike touring and made videos, and then he decided to buy two. Okay, let's be honest about what they are. 2 animal huts in the Italian Alps that he was going to turn into living residences.
What's an animal hut? Like a
So
place
it's-
where you
it's-
keep animals?
yeah,
or the animals build the hut.
It's a place where you keep animals. It's not a pen. It's an actual walled structure with a roof and a foundation. But it's not a house. It's not a place where human beings lived ever. So it was very strange because he bought these and he's like, I'm going to turn these into habitable places. But on top of this, and I'm not trying to be too pejorative here, he doesn't know what he's doing. So he's like he's not like grossly incompetent or anything, but this is not like his profession. Like he's not like a builder or like a contractor or anything. I think he said someone in his family
Not a
has
craftsman then.
yeah, like in his background, like he's a graphic designer by trade, which is like great, fine. But then, so he just took on, he's like, this channel is now about me restoring these buildings to habitable condition, but they were only habited by like pigs and chickens or something previously. So like right away he goes in, and I mean, they're in really bad shape. Like, the roofs are slate roofs, but there's holes in them and water just goes through. The first floor of at least one of the buildings is just full of like dirt and like animal manure and like so like ancient stuff. And yeah, and so he starts doing stuff, but he's, like I said, it's not that he's like failing constantly or anything like that, but he'll like make something and be like, oh, well, that's done. I probably shouldn't have done it this way, but
It doesn't work like
well,
that. Yeah, okay.
next time maybe. And it's just very strange because the photography is really nice and it's in the Italian Alps and it's very pretty. But every episode, I'm just like, what is this guy doing? And he's slowly but surely like making these into habitable places. And thankfully it's warm now, so he can actually like live in these buildings. But it is very weird. It is a very weird series because he's just a guy. And he's charismatic and everything, and like he's sincere, but he doesn't know what he's doing, so it's very funny to me.
Like under the first episode, he actually says that the buildings are cabins, and that he wants to create an off-grid homestead.
He says they're cabins, but when he actually describes them and you see them, they're clearly for animals.
They're not, yeah.
Well, and plus, now, granted, I understand that, especially in past generations, like Italian people were not the tallest historically, but like, he's Dutch and he's like very tall. So he goes in and it's like a building not meant for human habitation, built by Italians like 200 years ago. And so he can barely stand up or like clear the doorway. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like the whole thing is just like
your finger crossed for him.
Yeah, the whole thing
think
is just
he will
such an
succeed.
interesting experiment. Like he's making progress. It's just it's fascinating to me. It's really fascinating to me.
We're going to link it up in the description.
All right.
I'm
Hopefully
kind
he
of-
doesn't
I'm
come
kind
back
of
and hear this
interested
and get
now.
really mad at me.
Yes,
And
he's
then-
going to find you, and then he's going to put you in one of his cabins, and you will need to just live there.
It'll be easy because I can break out through one of the many holes in the building.
But you can't stand up there because they're also tall.
But,
That's true. That's
but
true.
Can you actually fit in one of those many holes?
Yeah. We'll find out after he kidnaps me.
I hope he doesn't. Okay, so that's all, I think. Thank you, Josh, for seeing us and
Thanks for having
recording
me.
this podcast with us. Always a pleasure, dude.
Thank you.
Hey, it was fun.
So, do you want to say goodbye to the listeners, guys?
Bye, listeners.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing us, listening to us.
You're listening to
Thank you for hearing our cries.
Bye.